in your world as it is right now, things are going to be happening so fast. It's going to feel like the train is pulling out of the station at a breakneck speed here, and you'll find that there's a lot of things happening in your world. A lot of changes will be happening within countries. A lot of changes will be happening within your medical system. A lot of changes will be happening financially in your world. Much of this is going to be very good. It's going to be very positive. Some of it is going to be clearly not so wonderful, and the reason for it is because you're going to find out about it, which is a good thing. That's the positive thing here, is that all that is hidden shall be revealed. And so one by one, the sort of things that are trying to keep you, shall we say, captive and enslaved and other things are starting to fall away because they're being exposed. And it's not going to happen overnight, but you'll see more and more of this is happening in your world. And people will start to come together collectively and say, wait a minute, this is not, shall we say, what we signed up for here. We don't comply. We're not going to do this game anymore. And so you'll find this happening more and more around the world, and between nations as well. It's going to be quite beautiful because people are coming together. We're going to tell you a little story here, and this again, not to instill fear or anything, any such thing, but when you look at your planet Earth, and this is just from a very pragmatic standpoint, and you see the, shall we say, the creation of your internet, the creation of your cellular telephones, your creation of your computer analytics and such, where data is being collected and sorted and organized on every person and things like that. When you look at the manipulations of your advertisements on your television, the manipulations through your news networks, when you look at the manipulations through religious organizations in many ways, manipulations through, of course, your politicians and such. Well, my dear friends, it's most interesting because the internet and your cellular telephones and other things around you, these, shall we say, frequency bands that are being used to manipulate people around the world and such, to provide illusions of, shall we say, weather, and illusions of sensations and feelings about life and things like that. All of these things were created to, shall we say, manipulate the masses. Well, guess what? What they have done instead is they have created a situation whereby the masses can suddenly discover who's manipulating them, because now everything is being exposed. Your internet is full of a lot of lies, a lot of fake things that are being sent around and such, a lot of untruths, really, because things that don't work, how to wash your clothes in this particular solution, which doesn't work, it turns them all black or what have you. Well, my dear friends, you're going to discover that also there's some wonderful things about your cellular telephones and about your internet and other things, is that it's bringing you all together. You're all just human beings, by the way, just human beings. And you're all going to discover that you love being human and you like to do the things that you like to do, and that you don't want your artificial intelligence taking away from your own personally beautiful, organic intelligence. And so these are the sort of things that you're going to see coming up to the surface, where human beings are going to say, no, I want to create things with my own hands. And you will find the most wonderful things will be happening in your world. Certainly, there is going to be an influx of artificial intelligence and robots and such to build your cars and to build other things, and it will be booting people out of the industries, who are usually the ones who tighten the bolts and things like that. But you're going to discover that these individuals are going to start to come together, and they're going to create their own automobile companies and say, here we have an automobile that is created by humans. That's going to become a, shall we say, what you call your hashtag. It will also be the sort of thing that will become a slogan for some companies, created by humans, not by robots and such. And more and more human beings are going to say, look here, come to this gallery of art. It is made by human hands, not by robots. It is made by individuals that you can actually see and talk to and listen to their heart and listen to why they created what they created. It wasn't because somebody pushed some buttons to create this piece of art. You're going to discover fantastic things like this. So that's what we want to tell you, is there'll be a little story to tell, but it has a beautiful and happy ending. It really does, my dear friends, because it's going to really push you all back to basics. You cannot rip out the heart of humanity. You simply can't. At your heart, you are creative spirits, students of the divine, studying the divinity within yourselves, and it's remarkable. You are beautiful spirits, and you have creative hearts. You have a desire to do certain things, whether it is the simplest of things, to organize your bathroom, whether it is the most mind-boggling of things, which is to create spaceships that go to Mars. People have a need to create. People have a need to use their hands, and they have a need to use their hearts. And they are doing it in many ways on the internet right now through your TikTok and other things where people are creating videos and such. But people are going to get tired of that, as people do. People get tired, people get bored. People eventually say, you know what, enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. It's driving me crazy. I feel so separate. I feel so alone. I want to get back to creating music whereby we are creating with our own hands, with our own hearts. And so you'll find that there will be a resurrection of more and more real, shall we say, music on the earth, raw and vulnerable, natural music, not something that is cranked out by our industries. So, in truth, my dear friends, things are going back to really beautiful times where you will find that people will be more sensitive to the fact that they want to taste fruit that tastes like fruit. They want to eat vegetables that taste like vegetables. They want to eat good foods that feel nurturing to their bodies and that they can actually smell and taste the flavor. Not something that is just, shall we say, a bit of cardboard thrown into a microwave oven, but people will get back to basics. Get ready, my dear friends, because yeah, summer barbecues are going to be really popular this year and beyond. God bless you indeed. More and more people turning to this sort of thing, being outdoors, being with each other, listening to music out under by the fire and such. It's going to be a beautiful time. So we want to celebrate this time period upon the earth, but we also want to say there is still that alternative force that is going to try to squash people, is going to try to make you live in fear, make you try to make you run under the table and quarantine yourselves in the house and all the rest. But we want to encourage you to stay awake. Stay awake and keep yourself surrounded by people of like mind and like heart. Don't spend so much time trying to change the minds of people who don't agree with you. Let them go find their people of like mind and like heart. Be yourself, my dear friends, and be okay with that. And if you can't find anybody that you really can commune with, and quite frankly, it could be somebody with an alternative perspective on life that you can communicate with beautifully and really enjoy their company. But if you cannot find people that you really enjoy to be around, my dear friends, don't try to force yourself to fit the world anymore. Be okay with the fact that perhaps God is steering you towards your own heart, telling you it's okay for you to be by yourself right now, because perhaps it's time for you to just take the time to get inside of yourself, to get to know thyself, even more so than you have known yourself before. You might discover that your awakening period of time on the earth is awakening to not just your intuition and that sort of thing, but perhaps you're really awakening, my dear friends, to your enlightenment. You're stepping into your enlightenment, wherein you discover that everything around you that you see, hear, taste, touch, feel, and smell is just really a big illusion of separation, that you are one with it. And once you awaken to that experience of oneness with everything, we can assure you, my dear friends, it's going to be spectacular, and it's going to feel lonely, and it's going to feel insane sometimes, but it's also going to feel fabulous because you'll have the recognition that there is really nothing to change. And you didn't have to work so hard all throughout your life to make things happen. And it is in that place when you finally understand yourself as one with everything and everybody that things begin to happen more naturally for you. You suddenly say, you know something, I think I need $10 to buy this plant over here because I love it. And you turn around and there's $10 sitting at your feet. Quite frankly, my dear friends, that's reality. That's what can happen. And that's very much what it is like where spirits exist off of the earth, where things can happen instantaneously. How do your extraterrestrials get to Earth so fast? Well, it's not technology, my dear friends. It's really just projection of themselves because they know they are one with it. They don't have to go from point A to point B in a tedious way, and it doesn't have to take light years and all the rest. That's just a programming of the human consciousness that it takes that long, that you can't walk on water or swim in the earth or walk through walls and things like that. You're programmed to believe that you cannot do certain things. But we assure you there are plenty of people upon the planet Earth throughout the centuries who have broken those rules over and over and over again and proven that that you can transcend any of these things that have been told to you. God bless you indeed. Even disease in your body, that you are told you are terminal and you're never going to get out of it. You are not terminal, my dear friends, ever. You are terminally eternal, yes. That is truth. But my dear friends, you are not terminal in any way, shape, or form with any sort of dis-ease unless you accept that into your consciousness and such. So you are far more than what meets the eye. You are such a beautiful spirit, a beautiful student of the divine. And again, we don't mean to instill any sort of fear in you. You don't have to be on the high alert, looking out for the things that might be the manipulations and all the rest. Don't do that to yourself. That's ridiculous, because then you're going to start to feel like it's they're hiding under the carpet in your house, or it's going to be behind that door number 3 over there and such. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is to awaken to the truth of yourself, and then you won't have to worry about any of that. You'll trust in your own heart, and you'll realize that you have the answers. You have the truth that you are seeking inside of you. You know the answers to everything. What is real? What is false? God bless you indeed. What is a manipulation? What is not? What is true love, and what is a manipulation of that as well? You're going to discover, my dear friends, that there is a beautiful, sensible, strong, aware, gentle, kind, generous, calm, peaceful, joyful, amazing person inside of you that just wants to be expressed. And it's all there. It's not just, it's not separate from you. It's not like you've, if you will, pushed it away and such to the point where you can't find it ever again. It's who you are. That's at your core. That is who you are, period. End of subject in terms of your spirit. Whether you acknowledge it or not is up to you. You're here upon this school called Planet Earth to awaken to that, to awaken to the God light within you, to awaken to the understanding that everything that you are seeking is you. Everything that you are seeking is you, my dear friends. It doesn't matter if you're talking to a stranger, if you want to bow down on your knee and ask the girl to marry you and such. You're seeking yourself. You're asking to marry part of you. That's all. God bless you indeed. You're seeking to come closer to that part of yourself through marriage, through a willingness to agree to something for a period of time. God bless you indeed. So there are so many beautiful aspects of who you are. You're a beautiful spirit. You are a student of the divine. Your world is moving in the right direction, even if it might feel like it's the wrong direction, because it drives you nuts, because you are empathic. You are aware. You do feel the world around you. Oh, goodness gracious, there's lots and lots of tears and fears and concerns and so on and so forth, and a lot of anger and a lot of people wanting to tear each other apart and that sort of thing. But my dear friends, in this very same moment, there are so many babies being born and people smiling and happy and thrilled to find them in their arms. There are beautiful things happening in your world where the lightning storms are looking so very beautiful. People are sitting on their porch with a nice little glass of tea and saying, this is a lovely, lovely evening, isn't it, darling, and such. There are people who are creating wonderful art and feeling so, so inspired by what they are feeling and seeing inside of their hearts. My dear friends, there are people who are thinking of ways in which they can uplift the masses, people who are saving children from hunger. There are people who are, if you will, guiding boats and ships and such, and they love their job and they love to do this and they feel quite accomplished in it, and it makes them feel alive. God bless you indeed. And there are people sitting gently, cross-legged, meditating, lighting their incense, lighting their candles, reading a book, sitting in the silence, understanding that all they have is right here and now. This is all happening right now, my dear friends, all of it. There are beautiful things happening right now. People are saving each other from disasters. There are people who are helping their friends who are feeling ill and giving them some noodle soup and such. There are so many beautiful ways in which people are interacting in your world. And you're fed an enormous amount of garbage about how they are not. An enormous amount of garbage, of constant reminders of the wars and the things that you ought to fear and the people you ought to fear. Don't go out of your houses and don't walk down the street. You could be killed and such. And this is being fed to you constantly, whether you are aware of it or not. It is oftentimes very subliminal. It could even be through the words of a friend who says, oh my goodness, did you hear the terrible news and such? And it can also be that you are, perhaps because you are so wide awake, that you're sitting somewhere, just relaxing, releasing, surrendering, enjoying the birds, and perhaps meditating a little bit, and suddenly a thought pops into your head that is terrifying. And you say, oh my goodness, what is that? Why am I seeing that? What happened here? Well, you know something, believe it or not, my dear friends, sometimes you actually have the capability of tuning yourself into the bandwidths, quite frankly, the frequencies of your news stations, of your radio stations. That's why sometimes, and some of you will certainly say and be nodding your heads to this, that you're sitting somewhere and you hear music, but there's no music around and there's not a radio on because you're tuning into the bandwidth of some music somewhere. Could even be somebody who's playing guitar down the street. That's a frequency, my dear friends. And so you're going to learn in these months ahead how to really tune into the frequencies of joy, to tune into the frequencies of exhilaration, of kindness, of gentleness, of love, of peace, of awareness that the world is going round and round and there are beautiful things happening. And get yourself more attuned to those things that are wonderful and beautiful and such. And then when you're called upon to help somebody who's in pain, who's in distress, where there's some sort of disaster that happens in your community or what have you, you will be the one that's going to be the calm in the storm because you'll be aware that it's all right. It's just something that's happening right now. Everything's going to turn out okay. Even if that person ends up dying, they are going to go on to a more beautiful place anyway. They're going to be free of being encumbered by pain and such. So you, my dear friends, you're going to discover more and more about yourself, how very beautiful you are, how great thou art.